To all the viewers, good afternoon. Welcome tuning in with the CGTN New Media. We're coming to you from the Philippines. Right now we are here, and this is Manila, the capital city of the Philippines. And this is the air base. And we bring you this live because we just show you the touchdown of the flight from China. Just the 10 minutes ago, this is Y20. And on board, that's 600,000 vaccines from China to the Philippines. And this is the Valamor Air Base in Manila. And it's around 600,000 doses of the coronavac vaccine. And this is donated by the Chinese government to the Philippines. And also, this is the very first time for Y20 arrived in Philippines. And to talk about, actually, this is not the very first time for our Y20 go abroad for fighting against coronavirus. And of course, for last year, 120 is the main focus to allocate the resources and supplies in China. And this is the second time for Y20 to perform the mission for transporting vaccines to overseas countries. And also talk about the officials from the Chinese military also visited the Philippines last year to strengthen the further cooperation between both sides. And also talk about the batch of 600,000 doses of the vaccines. Actually, it's the very first batch of vaccines arrived in Philippines, and also is since the outbreak of the pandemic in Philippines, and they also received a very first batch of vaccines here in Philippines. So which means this is a very first batch of available vaccines here in the Philippines. And also we have this blue ribbon, which means that right now we passed the tests. So that also can tell you that as long as with this blue ribbon, it shows that we passed the test of the coronavirus. And we can tell you that right now the situation right now in Philippines is quite severe. And also people in Philippines always ask us when will be the time that the batches of vaccines from China arrived in Philippines. Actually, this is a very good news we would like to broadcast to all the viewers, not only in China, but also in the Philippines and also global viewers. And right now, the first batch of the 600,000 doses of the coronavac vaccines from China donated by the Chinese government to the Philippines. And also President Duterte actually made a phone call to President Xi Jinping saying that as long as the vaccines are available, the Philippines would like to receive the help from China. And I believe right now this is the time that China delivered the promise, and we have these vaccines just touched on in the Valamar Air Base in Manila. And this is once again our Y20. So this is, once again, welcome tuning in with CGTN New Media, and this is the air base in the Philippines, and this is the capital city of the Philippines, Manila. And we try to give our viewers an even closer look, but I would really want to approach to the nearest spot we can, but unfortunately not see a signal. You can tell, not that perfect. To all the viewers, once again, welcome tuning in with CGTN New Media, and we bring you this live about the Chinese vaccines and just arrived in the Philippines around 4:10 p.m. local time. A shipment of 600,000 doses of CoronaVac COVID-19 vaccines arrived at Manila's Villamor Air Base in the Philippines, and the batch is a donation from China to the Philippines, and it's also the very first batch of the vaccines received by the Philippines donated by the other countries. So the airplane, this is our Y-20, 1 hour ahead of the time, already arrived in the Philippines. And the vaccines actually is produced by China's Sinovac. biotech. So the Philippines people always ask me about when was the time that they could receive the vaccination. I believe it right now. Today, this is the moment that we bring this good news to everyone. This is very encouraging news to all the friends, not only in China, but also to friends in the Philippines. And we talk about actually this is the very first batch actually donated to the Philippines by the Chinese government, and we also the Chinese government delivered its promise to the Philippines. Last year around the June, July, President Duterte made a phone call to President Xi Jinping asking whether when the a vaccine available in China, whether they could also receive the vaccines. And also the State Councilor Wang Yi at the beginning of this year visited the Philippines, also signed the contract. And right now is the time at the Philippines right now see the touching down of the airplane from China with the 600,000 doses. On February the 22nd, the FDA of the Philippines gave the approval to these Chinese vaccines with fast track approval. I believe actually this is also the conducive to the Philippines fight against coronavirus. So we talk about that. This is a Sinovac. So this is Sinovac Biotech Co. Limited. And we also talk about that the vaccines actually is produced, the vaccines are good to be stored at the temperature about 2 degrees Celsius to 8 degrees Celsius. That is also why they choose the Sinovac produced vaccines, because we also know that the weather condition in the Philippines is quite warm, and if the vaccines from other companies, they may require the refrigerator or lower temperature. So the Sinovac vaccines right fits in the needs from the Philippines. And talk about right now, you look at this is just arrived batch of the vaccines, around the 600,000 doses. And very soon we will see the ceremony attended by the cabinet members as well as the president of the Philippines. They will arrive at the airport and attend the ceremony. So once again, right now you're looking at this live footage from the Villamor Air Base in Manila for arrival of 600,000 doses of coronavac vaccine manufactured by Sinovac Biotech Limited and donated by the Chinese government to the Philippines. And President Duterte will attend the ceremony at Villamor. So the vaccine arrived, and also along with the president, also the cabinet members, senior officials will also attend that ceremony. And we are right now waiting for their arrival. Right now you also could see this is our giant Y20. So as you can see inside the Y20, that's the first batch of that 600,000 doses of the coronavirus vaccines from China. And talking about the coronavirus situation in the Philippines, in the February last year, they found the first infected cases in the community, and they also initiated the alert. So over the last 1 year, people fought arduously against the coronavirus. I believe the doses right now arrived in the Philippines will also help them to overcome this hardship. we talk about is not just the capital of the Philippines, also the other places in the Philippines. They also would like to prevail over the pandemic and resume the economic and social activities as soon as possible. That is why they're really eager to see when is the good time to roll out the vaccination, because people really like to lift that the quarantine at the community level and to reopen the communities, and the people can work back in their office, to go back and work, because right now they are waiting for that resumption. Once again, to all our viewers, welcome tuning in with CGTN New Media. Right now, we'll bring you this live coverage from the Philippines, and a shipment of 600,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines arrived in the Philippines. And this is in Manila's Vinamor Air Base. And the batch is a donation from China to the Philippines. And very soon there will be a ceremony and also a handover ceremony at the air base. The Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte will attend the ceremony along with him. Also, we will see the cabinet members attend that ceremony, and also the Chinese ambassador to the Philippines will also attend the ceremony. And also talk about the vaccination rollout plan in the Philippines. Is that the Philippine government also committed to provide compensation to the Philippine people in order to let them to get vaccines. And also the State Councilor Wang Yi, when he visited to the Philippines, and also signed a contract regarding vaccine, and around the 25 million vaccines actually included in that contract, targeting that providing the 50 to 70 million people receive that vaccine. And right now, the Philippines government also have that rollout plan already in place. And starting from tomorrow, we believe the first line workers and the doctors, nurses, as well as the military personnel will receive that vaccine. The updated information is that the President Duterte just arrived in the air base. I believe very soon we will bring you the live coverage about that ceremony. Right now, you are watching this live coverage coming to you from the Philippines. Right now, this is President Duterte. Right now, is attending this handover ceremony. Along with him is the cabinet officials. And gentleman in gray, that's the Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Mr. Huang Xilian. So we could tell right now the high officials right now waiting to see the unloading process of the Chinese vaccines from Y20. And look at the high officials and also the, of course, reporters and people working for these handover ceremonies all pass the testing. That's the swab, a throat swab, and also the another test, which means that right now the situation of the COVID-19 right now in Philippines are quite severe. So we need to pass 2 tests in order to make sure that we're safe enough to attend this ceremony. And talking about their vaccination plan, of course, the top priority goes to the elderly people, military personnel, frontline workers, including doctors, nurses, and also the players plan to attend Summer Olympic Games and also players attending the Southeast Games. So this is President Duterte and also Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Mr. Huang Xilian, attending this handover ceremony at Valamor Air Base in Manila. And talking about the President Duterte, he's a strong supporter of Chinese vaccine, and also in many occasions he showed his willingness that he would like to receive the help from the Chinese government to receive the Chinese vaccines. And also in February this year, he also gave the green light to the Chinese vaccines for its adoption in the Philippines. I believe today with his presence, it also showed the great significance and importance touched on the Chinese vaccines. The president's spokesperson also said that a great thanks to the Chinese government because this is really the urgent time that the Chinese government give a helping hand to help Philippines prevail over the hard time. And starting from tomorrow, they will start to give that vaccination to the top team, a top priority team. So tomorrow, we will have that a ceremony. So the minister, the secretary of health, attend that a vaccination ceremony, and he will be the very first ministerial level person receive the vaccines. And also he's from a family is working for a medical field, so I believe he's also a good endorsement to say that the Chinese vaccines is very safe and reliable, and also call on all the frontliners and also the people in the Philippines to get a dose. So of course, please stay tuned with CGTN New Media. Will bring you more coverage. So last year, around March 15th, it's a lockdown practice actually effected in the Philippines, and very soon it will be 1 year for Philippines to practice lockdown. And we could see that actually still the curve not flattened yet. So this is a quite a urgent public health emergency. So the people also now have quite a rich experience in how to deal with this kind of sudden onslaught of the virus. So the Chinese government and also give the great help to help the Philippines. And right now they would actually help them the 135, the recipients, and also we also donated like the reagent for testing and also the PPEs, and also talk about not only for the government level and also from the different walks of life, and as well as the business world also make a lot of contract and also donations to the Philippines. So they also donated around 40,000 packages of anti-epidemic supply, so to help the mass public overcome the difficulties. And also, of course, we talk about at the very beginning of last year when China actually hit it hard by the coronavirus. Actually, the Philippines, especially the Chinese in the Philippines, actually helped really a lot to the Chinese people. They donated a lot of supplies to help the Chinese people overcome a really challenging time. So actually, myself also attended to these kind of the ceremonies or the donation ceremonies. Actually, we look at the people, the overseas Chinese in the Philippines actually donated all they had to their motherland. And look at this is the vaccines from the China, and this is the coronavac vaccine manufactured by Sinovac Biotech and donated by the Chinese government to the Philippines. And also he showed this very precious picture to the media, to the people in the Philippines. And this once again is the dose, that one dose out of that 600,000 doses right now today arrived in the Philippines. And this is once again manufactured by Sinovac Biotech Limited. And this is the handover ceremony. So President Duterte is attending this ceremony. Along with him is the cabinet officials, cabinet members, as well as the Chinese ambassador to the Philippines. So also the time for the Chinese government, Chinese people pay back to the Philippine people's goodwill because they've really helped us a lot in the very hard days in the beginning of last year. So we received, actually in the beginning of last year, we received a lot of the supporting message, the cheer up message from the Philippines society. And right now we could see the Secretary of Health right now making his speech to welcome the Chinese vaccines to Philippines. The colleagues, good afternoon. On behalf of the coronavirus Command Center, the Philippines welcome the Chinese vaccines arrival. I really would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the Chinese government. From last April, the day the Chinese medic teams arrived in the Philippines, and then we kept receiving the supplies, PPEs donated from China, and right now we received the first batch of coronavirus vaccines. These efforts help us a lot in containing the coronavirus. The 600,000 doses of the coronavac vaccines donated by China offer timely help and support to the Philippines. That will also help us to speed up our containment efforts. We will for sure to secure a promising future. Thank you. Officials, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm delighted and honored to join with everyone here to attend this handover ceremony. The vaccines from China donated by the Chinese government to the Philippines. I also would like to give a big appreciation to the Philippine government for organizing this welcome ceremony. I believe that our arduous efforts from both sides
to curb the pandemic.
我也希望此次疫苗能够帮助菲律宾，实施这个全民广泛接种来战胜疫情。当前世界仍然面临着疫情的威胁，那么疫苗是战胜疫情的重要工具。中国始终履行它的承诺，为将疫苗作为一个公共产品向全球进行提供。我们中国也向全球27个国家出口了这个疫苗，这充分
to help every country to overcome these difficulties.
中国和菲律宾有着互相帮助的优良传统。
And right now, China already exported its vaccines to 27 countries around the world. And we talk about what we would like to see that vaccines are affordable and accessible among people. And at this time, this donation to the Philippines not only show the good friendship between both sides, it also emphasizes our joint efforts from both armed forces to win the battle against the coronavirus. Winter already gone, and right now we already see the arrival of spring. China is the very first country who provide vaccines to the Philippines. We sincerely hope that the Philippines can overcome the challenging time and resume its economy, its operation, and work. At an early date, China will continue its endeavor to help the Philippines. Thank you.
那么下面是由这个菲律宾
And this is the chief commander of the national coronavirus containment.
His Excellency Wang Xilian, Ambassador of People's Republic of China.
杜特尔特总统、黄锡联大使
Mr. President,
以及
Your Excellency, Mr. Huang Xilian, colleagues, good afternoon.
我们愿意向中国政府表达我们最诚挚的谢意。
We would like to extend our sincere thanks to the Chinese
我们
government.
今天接收到了中国政府捐赠的60万剂
Today, we received 600,000 doses of the vaccines from China.
这是我们中非双边强有力的联系的一种
This is once again demonstrate our strong friendship and ties between the both
非常开
sides.
心我们之间的
And
情谊
we are really glad to see that a friendship
对中国政府我们一直心存感激。
very strong, and also we always appreciate the Chinese government's help,
疫情期间，
especially at this very critical time.
我们非常感激中国政府履行了承诺。
And also appreciate the Chinese government delivered its promise.
今天我们举行了疫苗的
Today, right now, we are having this handover ceremony, and the vaccines will be administered tomorrow.
我们所有人都将接受疫苗，正如我们的总统
No one is safe
说，我们不会
as
漏掉任何
everyone vaccinated. So no one will be left behind, as President Duterte said.
我们希望能尽快恢复经济，
And we hope
社会
that
恢复
restore the economy
再次感谢
and the society at an early date.
中国驻菲律宾大
A
使
big
馆
thank you to the Chinese government, and also thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Huang
接下
Xilian.
来是由菲律宾总统杜特尔特进行
And now,
交由我
give
们
the floor
王
to
化宇
Your Excellency, President Duterte.
Of China Ambassador to the Philippines, His Excellency
尊
Wang
敬的
Xilian,
文官长、尊敬的外交部长洛钦、尊敬的
The cabinet members
菲律宾大使黄锡联、尊敬的国防部长
and
扎纳、
Your Excellency, Mr. Huang Xilian,
祝贺。为交通部长杜加达以及其他国员们
Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Secretary of Health, Secretary of Transport, and other high officials.
Philippine Marine Corps Commandant General Ariel Kakulitan, PCG Commandant General George Orsabio Jr., mga kasama ko sa gobyerno, mga kababayan. My fellow Filipinos, we welcome this day
我的菲律宾同胞们，
with high hopes of finally
My fellow Filipinos,
我非常希望疫情尽早在我们国家结束。
we really hope that we could put an end to the coronavirus at an early date.
我们为了进一步，就是我们收到了60万支疫苗，来自中国的疫苗。
And to at end, we received 600,000 doses from China.
我衷心的感谢中国以及中国人民对于我们的帮助。
We sincerely thank the help given by the Chinese government and the Chinese people. This once again demonstrates a good friendship between the Chinese people and the Filipinos.
也感谢我们的团队努力的工作。
And also, I would like to thank you,
方面的
the task force in the Philippines,
疫苗
for your hard work,
真正疫苗的抵达菲律宾。
so we can have a very smooth arrival of the vaccines in the Philippines. And the vaccine is a public good. It should be accessible and affordable, no matter poor or rich.
无论任何人都不应该承受这个影响。
We always say no one is safe until everyone is safe.
Until 我们衷心希望每一个菲律宾人都能够接受到疫苗。
We sincerely hope that we could see that everyone in the Philippines could vaccinate it.
我们政府也将努力向我们进行开放。
And the government will also redouble its efforts to make the vaccines available to all.
此次疫苗抵达，我也希望想证明我们。
The arrival of the vaccines also help us to make one more stride toward the success of the battle against the coronavirus.
As I have mentioned before, I assure you that the government will always be by your side, ready to help in any way
我
it
以
can.
前曾经重申，政府将始终站在
To
人民的一
my
边，
fellow Filipinos,
想尽我们所能。
I also would like to say that the government
我的菲律
always
宾同胞们，
stay at the side the people in the Philippines.
Filipino experts. I encourage to get you to get
我们的专家也将
vaccinated
努力的
as
研发疫
possible
苗，
time and be a partner in preventing the further spread of the disease. To
尽
those
尽
who
可
will
早
be
的阻止
vaccinated,
疫情的传播。
I also urge you to continue
And we will do
practicing
everything we
health
can
and
to
safety
curb
protocols.
the spread of the virus.
Final approval of all more vaccines. Remember to wear masks, wash hands, and observe social distancing. Your
大家
cooperation here is key. And
So
will
please
help
wear
us
masks,
save
keep your
lives.
hand hygiene, and observe social distancing.
Tireless support, I am confident that we will claim victory over this pandemic. Panahon ngayon para
With everyone pitching, we believe we will win the battle against the coronavirus.
现
Let's stay in unity and shoulder our responsibility. To create a safe society for all the Filipinos. So the Chinese government, and this the one and only government, donated the vaccines to the Philippines.
同时呢，他
Thank
也
you.
重申了菲律宾政府坚持抗疫，
So in his
战胜疫情
speech,
的信心。最后呢，菲律宾
President
政府
Duterte mentioned that they have the confidence to overcome the hardship, and also emphasized once again that they will overcome the difficulties imposed by the COVID-19 at an early date, and also make the vaccines available to all the Filipinos at an early date. And he once again also say a big thank you to the Chinese government and also the President Xi Jinping. And this is the handover ceremony.
主要的这个疫苗抵达的活动呢就已经结束了。这个请
And that's also the end
我把信号信。
at the airport. Once again, this is the live footage coming to you from the Villamor Air Base in Manila for arrival of 600,000 doses of the CoronaVac vaccine manufactured by Sinovac Biotech Limited and donated by the Chinese government to the Philippines. Just now, President Duterte just made a speech at the handover ceremony. Along with him is the Mr. Huang, the Chinese ambassador to the Philippines. And they also accompanied by the cabinet members of the Philippine government.
May we request the secretaries to remain on stage. Thank you.